Ladies and gentlemen, there's a story written on the hearts of those who've been unloved. A story of pain, of rejection, of wondering, why am I not enough? Let me tell you something, that story does not end with your tears. It ends with your triumph. It ends with you. Letting go is one of the hardest things a person can do. When something or someone has been a part of your life, the mere thought of ending it feels like losing a piece of yourself. But what we often fail to realize is that holding on to something that no longer serves us can do far more harm than good. It stunts our growth, drains our energy, and clouds our ability to see the possibilities that lie ahead. Letting it end isn't about giving up, it's about choosing yourself. It's about acknowledging that you deserve peace, joy, and fulfillment, even if it means walking away from what you once thought was essential. When a relationship, a situation, or even a mindset has run its course, it's important to recognize the signs. Perhaps it's the constant feeling of being undervalued, unappreciated, or misunderstood. Maybe it's the quiet voice within you that says, "This isn't right anymore." Ignoring those signals doesn't make them disappear, it only prolongs the inevitable. And the longer you cling to something that's no longer aligned with your spirit, the more you deprive yourself of what could be waiting for you on the other side. It's not easy to admit that something is over, especially if you've invested time, effort, or love into it. But staying out of fear of the unknown is not living, it's surviving. And you were made for more than mere survival. The truth is, endings are not failures. They are transitions. Life is a series of chapters, and each one prepares you for the next. Holding on to something that's no longer meant for you is like clinging to a book you've already finished. You know the story, you've learned the lessons, but if you never close it, you'll never get to read the next one. The end of one thing is the beginning of another, and that shift is where growth happens. But growth demands courage. It demands the willingness to step into the unknown, to trust that what lies ahead is better than what you're leaving behind. There's a certain fear that comes with letting go. Fear of regret, fear of loneliness, fear of making the wrong decision. These fears are valid, but they are also temporary. What's permanent is the damage done when you ignore your own needs, silence your inner voice, and settle for less than what you deserve. Fear is a natural response to change, but it should never be the reason you stay stuck. Change is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also necessary. You cannot grow in a place that no longer challenges you, supports you, or uplifts you. It's also important to remember that letting go doesn't mean erasing the past. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen or dismissing the impact it had on you. It means acknowledging the role it played in your life, taking the lessons it offered, and choosing to move forward without it. Letting it end is an act of self-respect. It's a declaration that you will no longer accept less than what you deserve, even if it means enduring a season of uncertainty. It's about trusting that you are enough on your own, that your worth is not tied to the people or circumstances around you. Sometimes, letting go means walking away from people you love. That's one of the hardest things to do because love, in its purest form, makes you want to hold on. But love should never come at the cost of your peace. If someone's presence in your life causes more pain than joy, more confusion than clarity, then letting them go is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of survival. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot thrive in an environment that constantly drains you. Choosing to let it end is not about abandoning others, it's about not abandoning yourself. Letting go can also apply to mindsets or habits that no longer serve you. Sometimes it's not the people or situations that need to change, but the way you think about them. Holding on to resentment, anger, or fear can weigh you down just as much as a toxic relationship can. Releasing those emotions doesn't mean they were unjustified, it means you refuse to let them control you any longer. It means you're ready to create space for something better, peace, joy, and freedom. The process of letting go isn't immediate. It's a journey, and it's one that requires patience, self-compassion, and faith. You will have moments of doubt, days when you question if you made the right decision. But those moments are part of the process. They're reminders of your humanity, of the depth of your emotions, and of the strength it takes to choose yourself. Letting it end is not a one-time act, it's a daily commitment to prioritize your well-being, to trust your instincts, and to believe in your own resilience. When you let something end, you create room for new beginnings. You open the door to opportunities, relationships, and experiences that are aligned with who you are and who you're becoming. But none of that can happen if you're too busy holding on to what's already gone. Letting go is an act of faith, a belief that what's ahead is worth the temporary discomfort of saying goodbye. It's about choosing growth over comfort, self-respect over familiarity, and freedom over fear. Endings are not the end of your story, they are the beginning of a new one. So when the time comes to let something end, face it with courage. Trust that you are not losing anything but gaining everything you need to move forward. Let it end and watch as your life begins to transform in ways you never thought possible. Pain is one of life's greatest paradoxes. It is both a wound and a healer, a force that can break you and shape you simultaneously. Yet, in a world that constantly tells us to avoid discomfort, to hide our pain, or to mask it with a smile, we lose sight of the truth. Pain is an essential part of growth. To let it hurt is not to surrender to the suffering, but to honor the depth of what you're feeling. It's an act of courage to sit with your pain, to face it without numbing it or running away. In doing so, you allow it to serve its purpose, to teach you, and ultimately, to transform you. When life wounds you, it's natural to want to avoid the pain. No one enjoys feeling broken or vulnerable. But avoiding pain doesn't make it disappear, it burrows deep within you, festering in ways you might not even realize. It surfaces as bitterness, resentment, or fear, dictating your actions and clouding your judgment. By ignoring the hurt, you give it power over you, letting it shape your life in ways you don't intend. Facing the pain, however, is an act of reclamation. It's a way of saying, this happened to me, but it will not define me. Allowing yourself to feel is the first step toward healing. Pain has a way of revealing truths that comfort cannot. It strips away the illusions, exposing what really matters. In the silence of your suffering, you begin to understand yourself in ways you never did before. You see what you value, what you've been tolerating, and what you need to change. Pain has the unique ability to bring clarity, to sharpen your focus on what's important. But to reach that point, you must allow yourself to go through it. You cannot bypass it or rush it. You must feel it fully to understand its lessons. There's a vulnerability in allowing yourself to hurt, and that vulnerability can be terrifying. It makes you feel exposed, as though the whole world can see your wounds. But vulnerability is not weakness. It's a testament to your humanity. It's a reminder that you are alive, that you care deeply, and that you are capable of immense strength. The very act of feeling your pain shows that you are resilient, even when you don't feel strong. It's in those moments of raw vulnerability that you begin to uncover your true self, the self that is brave enough to face life head-on, even when it hurts. Hurt is not an end in itself. It is a bridge to something greater. Every painful experience carries within it the seeds of growth. When you let it hurt, you allow those seeds to take root. You create space for transformation, for a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Pain can teach you patience, empathy, and strength. It can help you recognize your boundaries and reinforce your values. But these lessons can only be learned if you're willing to endure the discomfort. Society often glorifies quick fixes and instant relief, but true healing doesn't work that way. Healing is a process, and pain is a vital part of that process. It's through the hurt that you begin to release what no longer serves you. The tears you cry are not a sign of weakness, they are a release of emotions that need to flow out of you. The ache you feel is not a punishment, it's a signal that something within you is shifting, making room for something new. Pain is not the enemy, it's the catalyst for change. Letting it hurt doesn't mean wallowing in misery or losing hope. It means being honest with yourself about what you're going through. It means acknowledging the weight of your emotions without minimizing or dismissing them. When you allow yourself to hurt, you give yourself permission to grieve, to process, and to eventually let go. Denying your pain only prolongs your suffering, while facing it allows you to move through it and come out stronger on the other side. It's important to understand that everyone's pain is valid. There's no hierarchy of suffering, no scale to measure whose pain is greater or more deserving of attention. Your pain matters because you matter. Comparing your hurt to someone else's only distracts you from your own healing journey. Instead of diminishing your feelings, honor them. Treat your pain as a signal that something within you needs care and attention. Listen to it, learn from it, and trust that it will guide you toward healing. Pain also has a way of connecting us to others. When you've allowed yourself to hurt, you become more empathetic toward the pain of others. You understand what it feels like to be vulnerable, and that understanding allows you to offer compassion and support. In this way, your pain not only transforms you, but also enriches your relationships. It deepens your capacity for love and connection, reminding you that none of us are alone in our struggles. As you let it hurt, you may feel moments of doubt or despair. You may wonder if the pain will ever subside, if you'll ever feel whole again. In those moments, remind yourself that pain is temporary. It ebbs and flows, much like the tide. No matter how overwhelming it may feel, it will not last forever. Each day that you face it, you grow stronger. Each moment that you endure it, you move closer to healing. Pain demands your attention, but it also gives you a choice. You can let it define you, or you can let it refine you. The difference lies in your willingness to confront it. When you choose to let it hurt, you are choosing growth over stagnation, courage over avoidance, and healing over denial. It's a difficult choice, but it's one that leads to freedom. Pain is a part of life, but it is not your whole life. By facing it, you reclaim your power and open the door to a brighter, more fulfilling future. Healing is not a destination, it's a journey. It's a process that requires time, patience, and a willingness to confront the parts of yourself that you'd rather ignore. It's not about pretending the pain isn't there or rushing to put a bandage over it. True healing demands honesty, vulnerability, and the courage to face your wounds head on. It's about allowing yourself to feel, to grieve, and to rebuild from the inside out. This journey is never linear. There will be setbacks and moments of doubt. But every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to wholeness. Healing begins with acknowledgement. You can't heal what you don't confront. It requires you to admit that you've been hurt and to name the pain. This act alone is powerful because it takes the abstract weight of suffering and makes it tangible. It's no longer this vague cloud hanging over you. It's something you can work through. But naming your pain doesn't mean you have to define yourself by it. You are not your wounds, but they are a part of your story. And acknowledging them is the first step toward transforming them. Forgiveness is often a key component of healing, but it's one of the hardest steps to take. Forgiving someone who hurt you doesn't mean excusing their actions or pretending they didn't cause you pain. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of bitterness and resentment. Holding on to anger may feel like a shield, but it only weighs you down. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It's a way of saying, I will not let this pain control my life. But forgiveness isn't just for others, it's also for yourself. You must forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, for the times you ignored the red flags, and for the moments you stayed in situations that hurt you. Self-forgiveness is an essential part of healing because it allows you to let go of guilt and shame, making room for self-compassion. Another critical aspect of healing is learning to sit with your emotions rather than suppressing them. Society often tells us to move on or stay strong as if strength is defined by the absence of emotion. But true strength lies in your ability to feel deeply without being consumed by those feelings. Cry if you need to, scream if you must, but don't bottle up your emotions. They are not your enemy, they are messengers, guiding you toward understanding and growth. Healing happens when you allow yourself to process these emotions fully rather than pushing them aside. Healing also involves letting go of the need for closure from others. Often we hold on to the hope that the person who hurt us will come back and apologize, explain, or make amends. While this can happen, it's not something you can depend on. Waiting for closure from someone else puts your healing in their hands, and that's a power no one else should have over you. Closure is something you can create for yourself by accepting the reality of what happened and choosing to move forward. It's about deciding that you deserve peace, even if the other person never acknowledges their role in your pain. Building self-worth is a fundamental part of the healing process. When you've been hurt, it's easy to internalize that pain and start believing that you're not enough or that you're somehow unworthy of love and respect. Healing requires you to challenge those beliefs. It's about reminding yourself that your value is not determined by how others treat you. You are worthy simply because you exist. This may take time to fully believe, especially if the hurt you've experienced has chipped away at your confidence. But every act of self-care, every boundary you set, and every kind word you speak to yourself is a step toward rebuilding your self-worth. Healing also requires you to recognize the patterns that may have contributed to your pain. This isn't about blaming yourself, but about taking accountability for the choices you can control. Maybe you've ignored red flags in the past, or stayed in situations out of fear or insecurity. Recognizing these patterns allows you to make different choices moving forward. It's about breaking the cycle and creating a life that aligns with your values and desires. This self-awareness is empowering because it puts the control back in your hands. Support is another crucial element of healing. While the journey is ultimately yours to walk, you don't have to do it alone. Whether it's a trusted friend, a family member, or a therapist, having someone to talk to can make all the difference. Sharing your story with someone who listens without judgment can be incredibly validating. It reminds you that you're not alone and that your pain is not something to be ashamed of. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength and self-respect. Healing also involves rediscovering joy. When you've been hurt, it's easy to lose sight of the things that once made you happy. Part of the healing process is reconnecting with those things, whether it's a hobby, a passion, or simply spending time in nature. Joy doesn't erase the pain, but it reminds you that life is still beautiful and worth living. It helps you see that there's more to your story than the chapter you're healing from. Healing takes time, and that's okay. There's no set timeline for when you should feel better. Comparing your journey to someone else's will only rob you of the progress you've made. Healing isn't about reaching some perfect state of being, it's about finding peace within yourself. It's about learning to live with the scars and recognizing that they don't make you weak, they make you human. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a testament to your resilience and your commitment to becoming whole again. Letting it heal is a profound act of self-love and patience. Healing doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen simply because you decide you're ready. It's a process often messy and nonlinear, filled with moments of progress and setbacks. To let it heal is to give yourself permission to take the time you need to honor your journey without rushing through it. Healing is not about erasing the pain, but about transforming it into something that no longer defines or controls you. It's about allowing the wounds to close, not with the expectation that they will disappear, but with the understanding that scars carry strength, not shame. When you let it heal, you commit to caring for yourself in ways you may have neglected. You start by addressing not just the emotional pain, but also the physical and mental toll it takes on your body and mind. Emotional wounds manifest in stress, exhaustion, and even physical ailments, so healing requires a holistic approach. It's about nourishing your body with good food, getting enough rest, and engaging in activities that promote your well-being. Exercise, meditation, or simply walking in nature can help clear your mind and restore your energy. These small acts of self-care send a message to yourself: you matter. Your well-being is worth prioritizing. Healing also involves creating a safe space for yourself emotionally and physically. This might mean distancing yourself from people or environments that reopen your wounds. It's not about running away, but about protecting your peace. There is strength in setting boundaries and saying no to what drains you and in prioritizing what uplifts you. Sometimes this means making difficult decisions, like walking away from toxic relationships or situations that no longer serve you. It's about building a life where you can heal without interference, where your energy is focused on growth rather than survival. Patience is essential in the healing process. Society often pushes the idea of getting over it as if pain is something you can will away or solve like a problem. But healing doesn't work on a schedule. It ebbs and flows, sometimes catching you off guard. There will be days when you feel strong and days when the weight of your emotions feels overwhelming. Letting it heal means accepting that this is part of the process. It's about learning to ride the waves rather than fighting against them. You give yourself grace, understanding that healing is not about perfection but progress. An important aspect of healing is learning to rewrite the narrative of your pain. Often when we're hurt, we create stories in our mind, stories that cast us as victims, make us doubt our worth, or paint the future in bleak colors. Letting it heal requires you to challenge these narratives. You're not a victim, you're a survivor. Your pain is not a reflection of your value, but a testament to your ability to endure. Rewriting your story doesn't mean denying what happened, it means choosing to see yourself as someone who is growing stronger through the experience. Letting it heal also involves embracing forgiveness, not just of others, but of yourself. You may hold on to guilt or blame, wondering if you could have done something differently to avoid the pain. But healing requires you to release these burdens. You are human, and part of being human is making mistakes, trusting the wrong people, or staying in situations longer than you should. Forgive yourself for these choices, knowing they were made with the knowledge and strength you had at the time. Self-forgiveness is not an excuse, it's a release, freeing you to move forward without the weight of regret. Another element of healing is reconnecting with your sense of purpose. Pain has a way of pulling you into darkness, making it hard to see beyond the immediate hurt. Letting it heal means gradually rediscovering what brings you joy, what ignites your passions, and what gives your life meaning. It might be as simple as taking up a hobby you once loved, or as profound as finding a new calling. Healing invites you to explore these possibilities, to create a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. It's not about erasing the past, but about building a future that feels hopeful and full of promise. Healing also means accepting the scars. The wounds may close, but the marks they leave behind become part of who you are. These scars are not signs of weakness, they are symbols of resilience, reminders of what you've endured and how far you've come. To let it heal is to embrace these scars, to wear them with pride rather than shame. They are proof that you faced life's challenges and emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Support is a crucial part of the healing process. While much of the work is internal, having a community of people who care about you can make the journey less lonely. This could be close friends, family, or even a therapist who helps you process your emotions and provides guidance. Sharing your pain with someone who listens without judgment can be incredibly healing. It reminds you that you don't have to carry the burden alone, that there are people who want to see you thrive. Letting it heal means holding on to hope. No matter how deep the pain, healing is always possible. It may not look the way you imagined, and it may take longer than you'd like, but it will come. Trusting the process, even when it feels slow or uncertain, is an act of faith in yourself and in life's ability to renew. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't affect you. It means integrating the experience into your life in a way that empowers you rather than diminishes you. It's about reclaiming your story, your strength, and your future. Letting it go is one of the most liberating and challenging steps in any journey of healing and self-discovery. It requires an intentional release of the pain, resentment, and emotional baggage that weigh you down. Holding on to what hurt you might feel safer, even familiar, but it keeps you tethered to the past, unable to fully embrace the future. Letting go is not about erasing the memory or pretending it didn't happen. It's about choosing to no longer let it define you, control you, or rob you of your peace. It is the ultimate act of reclaiming your power. When you let go, you are making a conscious decision to stop replaying the events in your mind, overanalyzing every detail, and wishing things had turned out differently. This mental loop, while tempting, keeps you stuck in a cycle of what ifs and if onlys. Letting go means accepting what is, not because it was fair or just, but because it is unchangeable. Acceptance doesn't mean you condone the hurt or agree with the actions of those who wronged you. It means recognizing that the past is beyond your control and choosing to focus on what lies ahead. Letting go also involves releasing the idea that you need closure from someone else to move on. Often we hold on to the hope of an apology, an explanation, or some acknowledgement from the person who caused us pain. While this can be validating, it is not always possible, and waiting for it places your healing in someone else's hands. Letting go is about finding closure within yourself. It's about deciding that you don't need their validation or acknowledgement to heal. You can create your own closure by accepting the situation for what it is and choosing to move forward. Another key aspect of letting go is releasing the resentment and anger that may have taken root in your heart. Anger can feel like a protective shield, a way to keep the pain at bay, but over time, it becomes a burden. Carrying resentment doesn't harm the person who hurt you, it only harms you. Letting go means recognizing that forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. Forgiveness doesn't excuse their actions or mean you have to let them back into your life. It means freeing yourself from the emotional chains that keep you tied to the past. It's saying, I will not let this consume me any longer. Letting go also involves releasing the narrative that you've built around the pain. Sometimes we hold on to our stories of hurt because they've become part of our identity. We define ourselves by what happened to us, by the ways we were wronged, or by the struggles we endured. While it's important to honor your experiences, you are more than your pain. Letting go means rewriting that story, not as a tale of suffering, but as a testament to your resilience. It's about shifting the focus from what was done to you to what you've done to rise above it. This process also requires you to let go of self-blame. It's common to internalize pain and think, if only I had done this differently, or maybe I deserved what happened. These thoughts are traps that keep you locked in a cycle of guilt and shame. Letting go means recognizing that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. It's about showing yourself compassion and understanding that you are not responsible for the actions of others. You are responsible only for your own growth and healing. Letting go is not a one-time decision, but a practice. Some days you may feel free from the weight of the past, only to have it resurface unexpectedly. This doesn't mean you failed or that you're back at square one. It's simply part of the process. Letting go is something you do repeatedly, each time choosing peace over pain, freedom over fear. With each choice, it becomes easier, and the past loses its grip on you. One of the most powerful ways to let go is to focus on the present. Pain often keeps us anchored in the past, replaying old hurts or worrying about what might have been. By grounding yourself in the present moment, you can start to break free from these patterns. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation or deep breathing, can help you stay centered and remind you that the past is behind you. The present is where your power lies, and the future is where your potential awaits. Letting go also opens the door to self-love and new possibilities. When you release what no longer serves you, you make space for what does. You begin to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that align with the person you are becoming, not the person you were. This doesn't mean the journey is easy. Letting go often feels like stepping into the unknown. But it is in this space of uncertainty that growth happens. By letting go, you allow yourself to move forward, unburdened and ready to embrace what's next. The act of letting go is ultimately about reclaiming your peace. It's about recognizing that you have the power to choose how you respond to pain, how you carry it, and how you release it. It's a declaration that you will no longer let the hurt dictate your happiness or your future. Letting go is not about forgetting, it's about remembering your strength, your worth, and your capacity to heal. It's about stepping into a new chapter with courage, clarity, and a heart that's ready to love again, starting with yourself. Finding joy again is a gradual yet transformative journey, one that requires you to rediscover the simple and profound things that bring light into your life. Joy doesn't mean constant happiness or the absence of challenges. It's about experiencing moments of peace, contentment, and gratitude amidst life's ups and downs. After enduring pain or heartbreak, joy may seem distant, like something you can no longer grasp. But it's still there, waiting to be uncovered, woven into the fabric of your everyday life. It begins not with grand gestures or dramatic changes, but with small, intentional choices to see beauty and possibility again. To find joy, you first need to embrace the present moment. Pain often pulls you into the past, replaying old wounds, or pushes you into the future, filling you with anxiety about what's to come. Joy, however, lives in the now. It's in the sunrise you didn't expect to notice, the laughter shared with a friend, or the warmth of a quiet evening spent with yourself. When you focus on what's in front of you, you begin to see the world differently. You start to realize that even in the midst of struggle, there are glimmers of light, pockets of peace that remind you life is still full of possibilities. Gratitude is a powerful doorway to joy. It doesn't mean denying your pain or pretending everything is fine. Rather, it's about acknowledging what is good, even when life feels hard. Gratitude can be as simple as pausing to appreciate a meal, a kind word from someone, or the fact that you made it through another day. By practicing gratitude, you shift your focus from what you've lost to what you still have. This shift doesn't erase the pain, but it creates space for joy to coexist with it. Gratitude reminds you that life, even in its imperfections, holds moments worth cherishing. Reconnecting with yourself is also essential to finding joy. Pain often causes you to lose touch with who you are, what you love, and what makes you feel alive. Take time to rediscover your passions, the activities that once brought you happiness or curiosity. Maybe it's painting, dancing, gardening, or writing. These aren't just hobbies, they're pathways back to yourself. When you engage in things that spark your interest, you remind yourself of your unique abilities and strengths. You begin to see yourself not through the lens of pain, but as someone capable of creating, enjoying, and thriving. Surrounding yourself with positivity is another key to rediscovering joy. This doesn't mean ignoring negative emotions or avoiding tough conversations, but it does mean being intentional about the energy you allow into your life. Spend time with people who uplift you, who bring laughter, encouragement, and understanding. These are the people who remind you that you're not alone, that you are valued and loved. Joy is often contagious, and being around those who radiate positivity can inspire you to see the brighter side of life. At the same time, it's okay to distance yourself from negativity, whether it comes from others or your own self-talk. Learning to celebrate small victories can also reignite your sense of joy. Pain often makes the world feel heavy, and it's easy to overlook the little wins that happen each day. Did you get out of bed when it felt impossible? Did you smile at a stranger or complete a task you'd been dreading? These may seem like minor accomplishments, but they're significant steps forward. Celebrating them helps you build momentum, reminding you that progress, no matter how small, is still progress. Each step you take toward healing is an act of courage, and acknowledging that courage fosters joy. Letting yourself feel joy again can sometimes be the hardest part. After experiencing pain, you may feel guilty for being happy or fear that embracing joy will make you vulnerable to more hurt. But joy is not a betrayal of your pain, it's a testament to your resilience. Allowing yourself to experience joy doesn't mean you've forgotten what happened or that your journey is over. It means you're choosing to honor your healing by embracing the fullness of life. Joy is a gift you give yourself, a reminder that you are deserving of happiness, regardless of what you've endured. Nature can be a powerful source of joy. Stepping outside, breathing fresh air, and being surrounded by the beauty of the natural world can ground you and remind you of life's cycles. Nature teaches us that even after the harshest winters, spring always comes. Watching a flower bloom, feeling the warmth of the sun, or listening to the sound of rain can be incredibly healing. These simple moments connect you to something larger than yourself, a reminder that life is constantly renewing, and so can you. Acts of kindness, both given and received, also play a role in finding joy. Helping someone else, whether through a small gesture or a significant effort, shifts your focus outward and fills you with a sense of purpose. Kindness creates a ripple effect, often bringing smiles and gratitude that circle back to you. Likewise, being open to receiving kindness, allowing others to support or care for you, can remind you of the goodness in the world. These exchanges of compassion foster connection, one of the deepest sources of joy. Finding joy again is about trusting the journey. Life is a mixture of highs and lows, and neither lasts forever. Joy doesn't eliminate sorrow, but it gives you the strength to navigate through it. It reminds you that no matter how dark a moment feels, light always returns. Joy is not a destination, it's a state of being that you can cultivate even in the smallest ways. By opening yourself to joy, you're affirming that life is still worth living fully, with hope, love, and gratitude as your guide.